On August 20th, 1890, in Providence, Rhode Island, well-renowned horror fiction author Howard Phillips Lovecraft was born, and along with him came a collection of tales and stories featuring encounters of otherworldly terrors, non-Euclidean dreamlands, unimaginable curses, and lots of racism.
On the creation of
Now that's one of Lovecraft's we don't hear mentioned often.
Despite his troubling life and ideals, H.P. Lovecraft created a genre unlike any other, one that unravels the mind of the reader to the supernatural and to the unnameable. His works from the 1910s to the 1930s have been adapted into other forms of media and have influenced many of today's most popular stories and adventures. From movies like The Reanimator, Lovecraft Country, and The Color Out of Space.
They must have got him.
They? What the fuck are you talking about?
To video games like Bloodborne, Darkest Dungeon, and Cthulhu Saves Christmas. It also thrives in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, with it only lingering within the texts of the Great Old One Warlock subclass. But over the years, we've seen more D&D homebrew content that lets more players carry these shackles of madness and inflict their campaigns with fear-inducing abilities and eldritch sorcery. So this month, I'll be sharing with you all some great Old One homebrew content for the game Dungeons & Dragons. I'll also be providing some ancient Lovecraftian lore to provide some context and references for you to utilize for your inflicted characters and adventures. With all that said, this is Cthulhuween! So I was going to release this around Halloween because Lovecraft fits well with a holiday about fear-inducing paranoia. But then I remembered, it's 2020 and everything is fear-inducing! We'll be kicking things off with a double Paladin feature, with the Oath of Madness and the Oath of Apocalypse. Both of these were created by David Stevens from the DM's Guild, and they are for those that want to spread the goodness and cheer of the Far Realm to everyone they know and love. Because these are paid products, I won't share with you all of these Paladin secrets, but I'll share with you a few things that turn these holy warriors into true eldritch terrors. In several of Lovecraft's tales of the ones of old and great, these entities rarely reveal themselves to the masses. They tend to operate in shadowy realms, esoteric planes from beyond our reckoning, and even in our dreams. They rely on their devoted followers, cultists, and priests to do their bidding on the material world, while they lie in wait for the perfect time to rise and reclaim their creations. But there was one great old one that was abnormally upfront in his ascension, the one they call Nyarlathotep, the Crawling Chaos.
Who he was, none could tell, but he was of the old native blood and looked like a pharaoh. The fella he knelt when they saw him, yet could not say why. He said he had risen up out of the blackness of 27 centuries, and that he had heard messages from places not on this planet. Men advised one another to see Nyarlathotep, and shuddered, and where Nyarlathotep went, rest vanished, for the small hours were rent with the screams of nightmare.
In Lovecraft's short story of Nyarlathotep called Nyarlathotep, the titular being traveled from land to land, city to city, and lured in civilians and scholars with its preaches of immense knowledge and sciences, to build itself an army of maddened servants that would travel with it and spread madness and fear to all that can hear. Nyarlathotep has made appearances in other tales, like in The Dreams in the Witch House and The Rats in the Walls, and has gone through many forms, masks, and names, such as the God of 1,000 Forms, the Masked Messenger, Master of Evil, Mr. Tittles, and most importantly, as an anime schoolgirl? This is exactly what Lovecraft would have wanted. He really was a degenerate like the rest of us. The purpose of this Eldritch lesson is to show that the goals of the Oath of the Madness Paladins are in line with the goals of the Great Nyarlathotep. They travel across the world and wield their terrifying powers to create fear and hysteria. They'll serve them by sharing their teachings to the masses and rally up their enlightened supporters for the Goo's predestined and exciting arrival to the mortal realms. To start, the Oath of Madness Paladins will have some features replaced with some fear-inducing abilities. This is similar to the Anti-Paladin class that I've talked about before, which also replaced several core Paladin abilities to make the Paladins more naughty than nice. Oh hey Aura of Fear! The Madness Paladin's Aura of Fear will replace your Aura of Courage feature at level 10. While Aura of Courage grants you and all creatures 10 feet of you an immunity to be frightened by anything, Aura of Fear will cause all non-friendly creatures within 10 feet of you to be frightened of you. And just like Aura of Courage, the range of Aura of Fear will increase from 10 feet to 30 feet, which will send your foes running away with their eldritch presence. Just like the other Paladin subclasses, you'll not only learn some new features and spells, but you'll also inherit a new kind of Channel Divinity. Channel the Great Old Ones will let you release black miasma from your body, allowing you to harden it into a weaponized tendril with the Attack of Madness option, or as a protective barrier with the defensive displacement option. And if you thought that was disgusting, just wait until you obtain the final feature, the Servant of the Far Realm, which will let you transform into a creature of the Great Old One's creation. You'll gain a flying speed, a ravening maw that can bite people, and some sweet tentacles! This subclass will also come with some spells, but I'll talk about those and my overall thoughts on the Oath of Madness subclass at the end of the video. In the meantime,
I mean, things can't get any worse, can they?
At a glance, the Oath of the Apocalypse may seem exactly the same as the Oath of Madness. They both worship the same hentai monster, they were made by the same David, they both work to undo the current universal order to usher in the Great Old Era, but the Apocalypse Paladin takes a less subtle approach, as they were tasked to cake themselves in blood and to destroy this world in an orgy of violent decadence. Even their tenets tell you to dance and be merry, for tomorrow we die. So let's get out there and break all of the rules until the very end. This oath won't reflavor the core Paladin abilities, unlike his former brethren, and will come with 4 apocalyptic features. The 2 Channel Divinity options are Turn the Ignorant and Gift of Madness. Turn the Ignorant will fill a creature's mind with their heart's desire, charming them to you for 1 hour. And Gift of Madness will cause a creature to suffer from an effect from the short-term madness table for 3 turns. These madness effects can be found on page 259 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and they can cause some effects like uncontrollable laughter, an overpowering urge to eat dirt, or just straight up falling unconscious. And those were just the minor ones. Let's not even talk about the stronger madness effects. Thanks, I hate it. The final feature, Ancient and Forbidden, won't turn you into an eldritch abomination, but it will let you summon one instead. Once per week, you'll be able to summon a star spawn Hulk to do your bidding. This large aberration can be useful in a fight, as it comes with a Reaping Arms action that can prone all nearby creatures, and a feature called Psychic Mirror, which reflects any incoming psychic damage to all creatures within 10 feet of it. Unfortunately, if you want more information on the Star Spawn Hulk, you can only find it on page 234 in Mordecai's Tome of Foes, since this subclass doesn't come with its statistics. And to sweeten the deal, there's also 7 new spells that were created to let you harness the powers of these aberrant creatures. Most of them are combat spells that will deal a crazy amount of psychic damage, but some of them, like Mind Shatter and Horror Beyond Time and Space, will let you fill a creature's mind with inhuman terror, causing them to gain a random short-term madness effect. Some of them might be a little overpowered. Dealing 7d8 damage with a 3rd level spell might be a little too much damage. But these spells can be fun to use against your foes or allies, and it's nice to give your goo-loving players some new eldritch magic to wield. The Oaths of Madness and Apocalypse both achieve the dreams of becoming an unholy eldritch knight, but in vastly different ways. Both of these paladins have some great ideas and powers. such as the Oath of Madness changing some core Paladin features to fit its esoteric theme. But I do wish that some of the features would grant some more unique benefits, as opposed to just granting you a free once per day spell. The Apocalypse Paladin's level 15 feature lets you cast the Tempting Illusion spell, a spell that's not even listed in the guide, and it might not even exist. Some tinkering may be required, but overall, if you want an unholy beacon of the goo at your side, then these two fine paladins will serve you well.
And through this revolting graveyard of the universe, the muffled, maddening beating of drums, and thin, monotonous whine of blasphemous flutes from inconceivable, unlighted chambers beyond time, the detestable pounding and piping, whereunto dance slowly, awkwardly, and absurdly the gigantic, tenebrous, ultimate gods, the blind, voiceless, mindless gargoyles whose soul is Nyarlathotep.
Madness will reign, terror and pain, woes without end, where they extend. Great miracles, bend on the rules, where diddle against blessedness against stars, but returning on in the tomb, behold a returning season of doomsday. Scary, 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 solstice, very, very, very scary solstice. On the sea, fall on the ground, all the sky, sail on the sea. Look to the sky, way up on high, there in the night, stars.